Can Queen write and perform a song which resembles the 30s?
I am going to say yes. Hi everyone. I am sitting down to listen to one more song off of the Night at the Opera album. Today it's going to be Seaside Rendezvous. Now before I get into Seaside Rendezvous, I want to remind you that you can find this series plus the Beatles 150 series plus the Wall series on my Ko-fi and Patreon pages. And right now, as I'm recording this today and this week, of course, by the time you see this, all of this will have already been done. But today and this week, we are unfortunately in the midst of a challenge and problem with the copyright issues with putting out the Beatles series. By the time you see this video, we will have already made our decisions how to handle it. Regretfully, there will have to be a change on what you see on YouTube. But I want to remind you that no matter what happens on YouTube, you will be able to access all that I'm going to be doing and all that I have done with Beatles as it should be on my Ko-fi and Patreon. So that's just a little reassurance that it's not vanishing completely, although it will be a little bit trickier to access. Okay, going into Seaside Rendezvous, Vlad has given me a little paragraph to read. Seaside Rendezvous was written by Mercury. It has a mock instrumental bridge section which begins at around 51 seconds into the song. The section is performed entirely by Mercury and Taylor using their voices alone. Ah, that's cool. Mercury imitates woodwind instruments, including a clarinet, and Taylor mostly brass instruments, including tubas and trumpets, and even a kazoo. I don't even know if I should say this right here, right now, but I guess I will. When I was a child, my siblings and I would sometimes lie in bed in our bedroom at night with the lights out, and we would invent music, and we would each choose an instrument to imitate. And so we would be trying to make different sounds, and we would have this whole little nighttime concert before falling asleep. So that's just a little story about one of my childhood bedtime memories. Well, here, it's going to be interesting to see how successful they are at imitating instruments with their voices. During this section, Taylor hits the highest note on the album, C6. Okay. Isn't he the one that did the really high singing on Bohemian Rhapsody? Okay, I'll keep my ears out for that. The tap dance segment is performed by Mercury and Taylor on the mixing desk with thimbles on their fingers. And Mercury plays both grand piano and jangle honky tonk. This sounds like it's going to be a fun one to listen to, and a great way to wrap up this album before I move into whatever is coming next. So, let's give it a try.
You say you will if you could, but you can't. I love you madly. Let my imagination run away with you gladly. Brand new angle that we recommend. Seaside Rendezvous. I feel so romantic. Can we do it again? Can we do it again sometime? Ooh, I like fantastic. C'est la vie, madame, et messieurs. And at the peak of the season with that geranium, this time of year, it's so fashionable. Like dancing in the rain. Can I have a volunteer? Just keep right on dancing. What a damn jolly good idea. It's such a Jollification is a matter of fact. So trace your mom, my dear, underneath the moonlight. Together we'll sail across the sea, reminiscing every night. Meantime, baby, I ask you to be my Valentine. You say you'd have to tell your daddy if you can. I'll be your Valentino. Ride upon an omnibus and then the casino. Get in your facial, start a sensation. Seaside rendezvous, so adorable. Seaside rendezvous, woo. Seaside rendezvous. Give us a kiss.
That was wild. That was hilarious, fun, and I feel like I'm watching a movie that is portraying some really iconic scenes from an era long gone. But, well, obviously, they made the instrumental sounds much better than my siblings and I did when we were kids. Anyway, lots of fun. Let's go back and listen through the entire song again. I'll pause and point out some of the things that just really struck me as great fun. That piano opening is very much reminiscent of, well, 30s music. We could even say ragtime piano. If you listen to some piano rags, you'll hear the same swing and the same kind of honky-tonk, funny, syncopated, it's a social piano sound. It's the sort of sound you'd expect to hear in a social setting somewhere. But it really does sound a bit like rag. And this, what is this here? Is somebody going, or is that on the drum set? I'm not sure which.
Seaside, whenever you stroll along with me, really contemplating what you feel.
And you contemplate. Let's see. There is a piece of music which uses that same little da 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 dum. I cannot remember it right now. I'm sure somebody will remember it. I cannot place it right now, but I hear it in my head. Da 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 dum, and it's here now as well. And well, I suppose somebody will tell me.
Seaside, whenever you stroll along with me, really contemplating what you feel inside. Meanwhile,
And I like the way this melody starts with a long note, seaside, da-ba-da-da-dum, and then it has this sort of popping out, Jack in the Box type, bum 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 bum, da-da-da-da-dum, bum. It's bouncing around like a little bit ADHD personality here, and in fact, it reminds me, even these lyrics, this whole. The way the lyrics jump from one to the other, it reminds me a bit of Lazing on a Sunday Afternoon. The same almost distractible style, or easy, free, just whatever strikes you in the moment. You go for that, and no inhibitions, no, you're too happy, too carefree, too invested in being yourself, to put restrictions on what comes to mind. And it paints this, as I said, it makes me feel like I'm looking at an old movie or a movie that is portraying that time. A lively seaside scene. The colors are brilliant. I can picture the clothes. I can picture the hairstyles. I can picture the crowds on the beach, and it's not a quiet beach with just two people walking. This is something much more dynamic and populated. And yet this is one person in the crowd talking to somebody else.
Meanwhile, I ask you to be my Clementine. You say you will if you could, but you can't. I love you madly. Let my imagination run away with you gladly. Brand new angle that we recommend. Seaside rendezvous. I feel so romantic.
Bum, 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 bum. I feel so romantic. It's the switching back and forth and bouncing from one mood, one expression to the next.
Seaside, whenever you stroll along with me, really contemplating what you feel inside. Meanwhile, I ask you to be my Clementine. You say you will if you could, but you can't. I love you madly.
I like that this goes, I love you madly. And there's a little bit of a syncopation happening when he says madly. I love you madly. And so we feel like it's going, I love you madly, emphasizing every syllable, and yet he's pushed us ahead just a bit on the last part of madly. Linguistically, it's great because love is a single word. We want to emphasize that. Love. And then you is a single word. We want to emphasize that. We drop down and we give it a full 2 beats here. Madly. Well, we want to emphasize madly, but it's a 2-syllable word. And we don't really say madly. We don't accentuate the second syllable. So what he's done, which is so linguistically clever, we could say, is he's placed the second syllable a bit early so that it doesn't land right on the beat. Therefore, we get the same emphasis of the word itself, the complete word, and we get this musically satisfying bum, 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 where love you is echoed by madly. But we don't end up having an awkward, heavy arrival on li. Love you madly, and then the pulse comes after that. It's a really clever, naturally, we could say organic way of speaking, which is built into the music here, and it works really well.
You say you will if you could, but you can't. I love you madly. Let my imagination run away with you gladly. Brand new.
When it said, run away, that was a moment at which my mind jumped to Bohemian Rhapsody. Because the way the voices are layered there to be a bit of a chorus, and the rhythmic change, da 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 da, run away, it kind of was the same style as what we hear in the middle section of Bohemian Rhapsody when all the little voices are attacking him from all different directions, but we hear this chorus that's happening as well. And it kind of takes us out of there. Kind of like where we hear Galileo, 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 and it's the same sort of runaway, rhythmic intensity here as well. Well, of course they're on the same album, but it's fun to start noticing similarities one song to the next, and how all of this stylistic elements and personality is manifesting itself in different pieces of music.
Imagination, run away, you gladly. Brand new angle, we recommend. Seaside rendezvous, I feel so romantic. Can we do it again? Can we do it?
Can we do it again? Like, this is so wonderful. Can we do it again? Can we repeat it? And it's one of the expressions in the lyrics that makes me laugh, because it sounds like a little child. You know, swing me high, push me high. Can we do it again? Can we do it again? And now here, it's not, can we meet again? Can we get together again? But can we do it again? What a great play with the language and the associations we have with different expressions.
Seaside rendezvous, I feel so romantic. Can we do it again? Can we do it again sometime? I like fantastic. C'est la vie, madame et messieurs. And at the peak of the season with Mediterranean.
It's so colorful, and it's so full of personality. I guess that's what I want to say about this song is I feel the personality being, it's like it's jumping out of the music. Sometimes we have to dig to find the personality. Sometimes the personality or the character of the music is much more subdued. This is much more, I could say, show tune style, because it's a bit exaggerated, it's a bit overdone, but it's intentionally that way. And it's kind of like, I could think of it as a postcard, an artistic rendition of a seaside scene, where the colors are extra bright in places, and some of the individuals are exaggerated in size. There's perspective, and there's all of this happening on a little postcard. But it gives us a certain feeling. It expresses a certain environment, a certain mood. It communicates so much in such a short, compact, small space. And it's like that with this song. We're not watching a whole movie. We're not looking at a whole big, complex painting or even a series of paintings. We're not reading a whole book. We're not listening to a really long, in-depth, complex piece of music. No, we are seeing this little postage stamp, which we are hearing this little postage stamp, this little sound bite, which has to contain everything in it to build this image in our mind and to express all of this. So of course it has to be rather, we could say grotesque in a way. Grotesquely done, overdone, exaggerated, and not highly refined musically. It's not supposed to be that way. It doesn't work that way. It requires this extra over-exaggeration of different elements. And I guess what I'm enjoying so much about it is that even though it has all of that, and it is overdone, and it is extreme in its expressiveness, it's so well handled. And it does exactly what a little postcard or a postage stamp or a snapshot of a scene would do if the colors were intensified a bit. It puts us in that place. It makes us recall. It makes us live that place and that mood and that environment. And we can immerse ourselves in it through this wonderfully vibrant piece of music. And I enjoy that. I don't have to always have a symphony, or it doesn't always have to be Bach or Brahms or Mozart or something like that. It's okay to have something like this. And it's not just okay. It's wonderful to have something like this to serve its purpose. And it's really fabulously done. I really can't fault it. It's brilliantly put together.
And at the peak of the season with that geranium, this time of year, it's so fashionable.
This is so fun. That section has so many creative sounds in it. And there are musicians, vocalists, singers who specialize in creating those kinds of sounds. And then there's something like this where they each already have their own instrument and they do fabulously with it. And then what did they do? They just decided, let's get together and imitate some instruments for a change. You can hear the voice in it. It's not, you can tell that it's not truly an instrument. And yet, you know exactly which instrument is being imitated. That's some funny little trumpet, right?
I feel like dancing in the rain. Can I have a volunteer? Just keep right on.
I love the way there in that moment, I feel like dancing in the rain. In this section here, you hear the patter of rain, and then a whistle, and it makes it feel like I can picture this person on the seaside, at the beach, at the seaside, and there's this rain cloud that comes in, and he's with this person, and they're just having a wonderful time, and they feel so good together. And then we hear the little patters of rain, and rather than dashing for cover, he says, I feel like dancing in the rain, and any volunteer. And I love the way that the instrumentation helps to contribute to that overall impression.
I feel like dancing in the rain. Can I have a volunteer? Just keep right on dancing. What a damn jolly good idea. It's such a jollification, as a matter of fact. So très charmant, my dear. Underneath some...
And also, this is a great moment to say, I'm noticing his use of French in here as well. Well, it seems that Freddie was attracted to all things French. He loved the French language, and he loved French literature, and he loved all these French things. And now he's throwing it in here. Again, we have this idea, this association of French language with romance. And he's exploiting that here in this song. to accentuate the romantic element and the feeling of exhilaration and happiness, and that this is not just one person engrossed in his own world, but this is all about the feeling one has when being with somebody else that you're enjoying being together with and having this grand time.
Such a jollification, as a matter of fact. So très charmant, my dear. Underneath the moonlight, together we'll sail across the sea, reminiscing every night. Meantime,
We've gone from dancing in the rain to now, under the moonlight, we'll sail across the sea. This is somebody who is just so happy. He can't contain himself. And as I said, it has this feeling of a bit of ADHD quality. A brand new angle, highly commendable. Seaside Rendezvous. I feel so romantic. Can we do it again? Fantastic. And then this time of year, it's so fashionable. I feel like dancing in the rain. Can I have a volunteer? And then it goes on. Oh, it's such a jollification, a matter of fact. So très charmant, my dear. Underneath the moonlight, together we'll sail across the sea. There is no focus here. Somebody who's madly in love, infatuated, and has no ability to focus on anything except the fact that he's being with this person. And it catches that flavor, that quality so well. I love it when a piece of music captures the essence of what something is and communicates it to us, the listener, in such a way that we can taste it, we can feel it, we can see it. I feel like this music does that. And that's why I like it. Because it captures the essence of this person, this moment, so exquisitely well.
reminiscing every night. Meantime, baby, I ask you to be my Valentine. You say you'd have to tell your daddy if you can. I'll be your Valentino. Ride upon an omnibus and then the casino. Get in your
Again, I hear some, is this Taylor's voice up high here?
have to tell your daddy if you can. I'll be your Valentino. Ride upon an
Or is
omnibus
that
and
an
then the
instrument?
casino. Get in your facial, start a sensation.
And he's switching from French to now Valentino, Casino, more Italiano. And again, it's this flipping from one to the other just to capture the vibe, the moment. It's great.
Ride upon an omnibus and then the casino. Get in your facial, start a sensation. Seaside rendezvous, so adorable. Seaside rendezvous, woo. Seaside rendezvous, give us a kiss.
And those last lines, so adorable, woo, give us a kiss, are so not French, so not Italian. I want to say it sounds, to me, American. It doesn't sound like what a British person was. I don't know. I'm not British and I haven't spent enough time in the UK to know. But to me, that sounds like kind of imitating a bit of Americanism. So we're bouncing from French to Italian to American and, well,
Rendezvous, so adorable. Seaside rendezvous, woo. Seaside rendezvous, give us a kiss.
the end. What a fun first listen. I'm kind of in the mood to go to the seaside at this moment. I wouldn't mind finding a scene like that somewhere. At least just to sit in the background and watch it all happen. That would be so much fun. Well, I guess the music has done that for me and given me the opportunity to watch it all go down in a way that I can't do otherwise. So there we have it. My first listen of Seaside Rendezvous, my last listen in this series of A Night at the Opera album. I am enjoying this journey a whole lot. I have enjoyed the selections off of this album a great deal, and I'm looking forward to whatever comes next.
So, on the night of the opera, you had Death on Two Legs, Blazing on the Sunday Afternoon, I'm in Love with My Car, You're My Best Friend, now Seaside Rendezvous, and of course, Love of My Life and Bohemian Rhapsody. So, what do you say about an album which has so many different sounds and styles and such a mix of really amazing music?
Well, I'm thinking of the title, A Night at the Opera, and how so many have said, and of course we know, he loved opera. He had this operatic flair. And we find it in this album, clearly on display. I don't want it to be misunderstood as saying that this album is an opera in itself. No, it's more like he's capturing the essence of opera. And somebody commented on the channel one of the songs, and I don't have the comment here, I can't quote it exactly, but somebody said to the effect of, I see you're enjoying this a whole lot, but don't you realize this is a rather kitsch camp style, and what do you have to say about that? Well, yes, of course. Let's acknowledge that right here, right now. It is. It's very campy, but at the same time, it has to be. If you ever watch opera, and you look at the costumes, you look at the makeup, at the sets, nearly all of them, well, I won't say all, their opera is very extensive and varied, and it depends on who's producing it and how it's set up. But very often you see the performers in these very exaggerated, overdone costumes and makeup and hairstyles and all of this. The idea is we are not looking at a real life scene. We are looking at an artistic setup which makes certain things jump out at us, brings certain things into focus. Just like when we are listening to music, which instrument you put in the foreground, whether you put the voice or the instruments, whether you feature the percussion or the melody or the harmony, or how you balance it all. It communicates and brings certain different things to our attention. And I feel like in that regard, he is very operatic in his style. And A Night at the Opera is a very appropriate name for the album, because he's not trying to imitate opera, but he recognizes through this name, I say he, they, Queen, all of them, because I don't want to merely focus on Freddie. Freddie has this larger-than-life personality and charisma, and it's easy to start referring to Freddie, but this is Queen. This is Queen, and all of them are contributing to this, and all of them are together on this. The recognition that what has been done on this album is this kind of vivid artistic renditions of different moments, different experiences, different moods, different stories, different imaginative scenarios. All of it is done, and I'm going to use the word saturated. I mean saturated when you think of colors. You speak of a color being very saturated, the saturation of a color. This is heavily saturated music. And it's the intensity is everywhere you look in there. And I guess that's what appeals to me about it, because it speaks so clearly, so full of character and personality. And maybe, okay, I'm a classical musician and I haven't been exposed to this type of music until the last year. And so it's possible that people might think of me as being kind of, okay, all Bach, Beethoven, boring, dull, old music, and okay, you want to be all serious. It doesn't matter whether it's Bach or Beethoven or Freddie Mercury or Queen or the Beatles or the Beach Boys or anything. When it pops with color and when it captures the essence of something, then it's great, it's fabulous, it's wonderful, it's an exciting experience. And it can happen in any kind of music, obviously. And I so enjoy getting to know other styles of music other than what I have been familiar with in my own sphere, which also have this intense saturation of character and expressiveness. So I don't find it... I used the word grotesque earlier, intentionally, because in a way it is. But at the same time, I don't mean it in a grotesque, uncomplimentary manner. It's not negative. It's intentionally so. And again, go check out some operatic scenes and you will see the same thing happening there. And, well, there we have it. This is great. I'm enjoying it, and I loved every single one of these songs on this album that I've heard so far. I'm looking forward to what comes next. So, I'll see you all later.